Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of DK Tour Fishing. Happy to see you guys today. I have some good information that I want to share with you today. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into all of that. But before we get into it, I wanted to just rehash that we have a 100 subscriber giveaway coming up real soon. We're at 89 subs right now. And somebody's going to be winning some really cool stuff real soon. I got these big boy Kitex right here, the 7.8 Fats, guys. I got two different color options of your choice, and I will be giving those away with an Owner Beast hook. I'm going to be giving you guys a weighted 10-aught hook and an unweighted 10-aught hook. This way you could fish this big Kitex in the top of the water column as well as closer to the bottom or the bottom of the water column. The water temperature is cooling right now, and the fish are going to be feeding up for the winter. There's different big bait, big fish feeding windows in the whole country, but I guarantee you there is some big fish feeding on big baits right now. So get on that wave, guys. I have a Woo Tungsten face shield. These things are awesome, and I'm going to be giving that away with the swim baits. So really good 100 subscriber giveaway for sure. And you know what? We're going to do another one at 500 subs. Not really positive what we're going to do yet. I mean, we might give a Shimano Corrado DC away, or maybe we'll give away like a Mega Bass Destroyer. I don't know. A fishing rod. We'll do a rod or a reel. So we'll do something good. I don't care. We're gonna do something good for 500 subs. So subscribe to the channel, guys. I got some awesome content coming up as well. All right, guys, let's get into it. Today, I want to talk to you about going braid to leader. Going braid to leader is something that I do on so many techniques, and which not just spinning rod techniques. I go braid to leader on baitcaster techniques as well. It's all due to your own comfort. Experiment, try and see what works for you. But I'm going to be talking more specifically about going braid to leader on my spinning rod setups today, and the benefits I get from going braid to leader, as well as give you guys a step-by-step, show you guys step-by-step how I rig my spinning rods from my backing knot all the way to my main line to my leader knot all the way to my lure. So we're going to be covering an Alberto knot. We're going to be covering the Alberto knot that I tie halfway. We're going to be covering the Alberto knot that I tie all the way. And we're going to be covering an improved clench knot. So pretty much 4 knots we're going to run through really fast. You might be familiar with some of them already, but might as well just watch the video because I'm going to be covering some good information here, and I guarantee you're going to get something out of it regardless of your skill level. So not only are we going to talk about the type of fishing line that I use to go braid to leader, how I rig my rod braid to leader, we're also going to talk about the importance, a little bit of how important it is to carry extra reels with you, and if not carry extra reels with you, how important it is to carry extra spools with you, or at least an extra spool with you. So we're going to get into a little bit of that. We're going to talk about line diameter. So all that and more, guys. All right, so let's dissect this whole thing apart. Let me start by saying that when you choose your finesse setups, it's more likely that you want to spend a little bit more money on a finesse setup than a power fishing setup, just for the simple fact of, with a finesse setup, you are really looking for that fine bite, feel, and supreme sensitivity to feel a bite that you might barely be able to feel. So that sensitivity is going to be the difference between you actually setting the hook on your fish. Now, with that being said, you don't need to spend crazy money on a fishing rod if you don't want to, because you can compensate for paying for all that sensitivity in the blank of your rod just by going braid to leader. Now, the reason why braid is so sensitive is, let's talk about braid. Braid has no stretch, okay? It has supreme sensitivity because it has no stretch. That means that you could feel your bite in the most ridiculous situations. Say it's very cold water and the fish are biting very finicky, and that no stretch factor right there really gives you the edge to be able to have the responsiveness that you need Now, besides sensitivity and responsiveness, which is pretty much everything in this situation, braid also has a very thin line diameter, and it casts very far. And what else about braid? It's manageable in terms of its lifespan. It lasts a very long time, and it's pretty much it's a low maintenance line. So it's a no brainer for me. I'm gonna put 12 to 15 pound braid on most of my spinning rods. Now, we're going to talk about fluorocarbon, the fluorocarbon that connects to the braid. The reason why it's the ultimate combination is because fluoro still doesn't give you much stretch, so it's super sensitive, but it gives you a very minimal amount of stretch, which is perfect because it cushions the braid. This way you don't rip the hook out of the fish's mouth when you go to set the hook. Now, fluoro is also invisible. Invisible in terms of it does not reflect sunlight. So your braid obviously is a visible line. Mind you, it has a low line diameter, but that fluorocarbon leader right there, the fish are not going to be able to see it. They won't see it like they will be able to see straight braid or monofilament. So it's a really good combination to go braid to leader. Those are some good reasons alone. Now, this is the foundation of everything, guys. You have to have your line secured in the bottom of your spool. For that, the best line that you can use is mono, okay? So for this, I have 20-pound mono right here. The reason why I'm using 20-pound mono right now is because I want something thick enough where you guys can actually see what I'm doing a little bit. In reality, I will use 8-pound mono for backing, but it's not a specific thing where line diameter makes the biggest difference. As long as you have some type of cheap mono has stretch to it. So that's why it's going to be the most ideal line to tie your Albright knot, because if you don't have stretch in that line, it's just going to spin around the spool. Like if you were to tie an Albright knot with straight braid, you're going to have a problem getting a fish to the boat. Alright guys, so pretty much it's going to be the same deal whether you're doing it on a bait caster or a spinning rod. I just have the spool off the reel right now so I could visually show you what I'm doing. And then we're going to put the spool on the reel and we're going to move on from that. So I'm just putting the line right over the spinning reel right now. As you can see, very simple. It's just wrapped right around there. I'm going under the line once. That's it. Just a regular under-over deal right there. I'm doing the same exact thing, actually. I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to make sure, though, that my line is going to come through perfectly even with the last knot like that. Okay. Now, the last step to this simple knot, I'm going to take this top piece right here, and I'm going to tie it around itself. And what I mean by that is I'm just literally tying a knot in the line. Just like that. Take my scissors or braid cutters, whatever you guys are using. Hopefully they work a little bit better than that. Okay, now I'm going to wet this. You don't get to see me lick the reel on camera, but you just simply tighten this thing down. What's going to happen is your line's going to slip right through itself, and it's going to cinch right down to that knot. There you go. That's how I tie it. Ready to be worked with. Alright guys, we're all good here. We got our monofilament backing right to our spool. What you can do is you can use pretty much as much mono as you can get away with. You know, it's really your backing, as long as your backing really doesn't really ever see the light of day and you have enough braid on that reel to fish, you will be good. And because you know, mono is much cheaper than braid, so you'll save yourself money that way. So we're gonna make a loop right here with your monofilament backing, and you're gonna put your braid right through the loop, pinch. Now you're gonna wrap this thing. See how you have your line right there? You're gonna wrap your braid I'm gonna tie an Alberto knot, but I'm tying a half of an Alberto knot. And what that means is I'm only wrapping it half the amount of times.
It's a complete knot, but I'm only wrapping it half the amount of times. And it's going to be very strong. It's very well suitable for a backing knot, and it's going to, for a backing knot that's going to hold your backing to your main line. And like I said, never see the light of day. So there you have it. You got this thing wrapped perfectly, 3 times one way, 3 times the other way over itself. You come out from this direction, you can see that here is your main line right here. This is what I want you to take note of, how it comes from under the loop. So you want everything to be symmetrical. Since it's on that side of the line and coming from under, you want this one to be on that side of the line and coming from under as well. And you see, I'm going to show you guys, see how they're both, hold on, if I can get this line to actually cooperate and bend the way I need it to. See how they're both coming from the same direction right there? That's a key element to tying this knot. See, look at how perfect and symmetrical it is when you go to clamp it down. So go to add a little bit of saliva to it or wet it down. I'm going to pull both the tag ends to tension them and then let go and tie the main lines. Boom, look at that. That's a perfect connection knot right there. Let me just trim these ends real quick and make sure everything is straight. This way we have a really good streamlined knot, and it is not, well, it's not going to ever see the light of day, but this thing is perfect. It's small. I mean, imagine that this was actually 8-pound mono. You wouldn't be able to see this knot at all. All right, guys, we're all good. We're all spooled up with our main line there, and now we are going to take a fluorocarbon leader. I usually use 8 pounds on a spinning reel. That depending on what technique I'm fishing. I'm gonna use this 20-pound mono for you guys. This way you can see it a little bit better in the camera, better visual representation. So once again, in case you guys didn't get a good grasp on it when I was tying that connection knot, I only wrapped it 3 times. But for the leader knot, we are gonna wrap it 6 times or even 7. Here's my loop on my fluorocarbon right here. I just pinched that together. Here's my main line. The braid as a main line on a spinning reel, it offers supreme sensitivity. And spinning rods are all about sensitivity. So there's no reason not to go braid to leader most of the time. So there you go. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to keep progressing. 4, 5, 6. There you have it. You have 6 wraps around that line. What I'm going to do is, or you can go to 7 wraps too if you'd like. I want to keep my knot a little bit more low profile. I'm going to use 6. 6 works. Tested and true. As long as you tie the knot right. I'm going to come right back through all those wraps, guys. I'm going to come back very evenly. This way I can go over all of those wraps that I came through in that other direction. I'm going to come back the complete opposite direction. And I want to make sure that I'm coming back the right amount of times. So there you have 5. Now you have 6. Now, there you go. I just came right back through myself with that line, completely even. Now, this is the most important part, guys, in my opinion. See how this main line comes right from the bottom there, right through this side of the line. Now you want to make sure this is symmetrical. So this is going to go through the other side right here, but you're going to make sure, most important part in my opinion, guys, that it's going to come through the same bottom side of that loop, the same side of that loop that the main line's coming through. So we're going to take your tag end there, and we're going to pull it through. I'll show you one more time. You see that? How they're both coming through the same side together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull, wet it a little bit. I'm pulling both. I'm pulling the tag ends too, guys. Little tension there. I'm letting go of the tag ends, and there you go. We have a perfect Alberto knot. Let me trim this thing up real quick. Yep, came out flawless. Okay. Now look at how perfect that is, guys. Now you could even trim those tag ends even more if you'd like, which I will. I want to make sure my tag ends are nice and trim. All right, guys, so I have another reel here that's already spooled up. I did yesterday. This one has 12-pound braid on it, true finesse stuff, and it's going to an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. Now that's how your knot is really going to look.
Okay, it's so even. I mean, I don't even know if you guys can even see the knot, to be honest with you, because it's so small. Next question: how long is my leader going to be? Now, the length of your leader, it could vary. I mean, obviously, you might want a longer leader if you are fishing clear water, but we're going to keep this simple, general, basic rule of thumb for functionability and what works. What is proven to work for the most functionability and sensitivity in your setup. I'm going to keep my leader knot right there. I'm going to keep it in between my spool and my first guide. Simple as that, guys. That's where that knot should be. If that knot is inside your spool, there's a good possibility when you go to take a cast that little knot, since it's so small, it just might get caught on that fine piece of line that's right on top of it. When you're fishing with braid this skinny, it's like dental floss. Dental floss is vulnerable to get caught on anything. So you want that knot to be outside of your reel, guys. And then you could measure where you're going to make that cut before you tie your lure yourself, based on how far you want your line to be from the tip of your rod when you make your cast. Now, if I'm tying a fluke on, something like this, I'm going to want my lure to be, something like this far away from the tip of my rod. Now, if I'm tying a drop shot, my leader is going to be a little bit longer because I like to pitch a drop shot, which means I'm going to be holding my tungsten all the way down here. But rule of thumb, like I said, guys, as long as that knot is right there in between your reel and your first guide, you should really be golden. It's going to prevent a lot of headaches, and you're really going to have a pristine setup. All right, guys, we're really ready to go here. We got our main line, which is braid, super sensitive, and here is our leader right here. Let's tie our lure on here, and this way we can throw this weightless fluke. I'm going to use an improved clench knot because that is one of the best knots that works for me when it comes to monofilament or fluorocarbon. Very strong, very proven knot. Here we go. We bring it through the eye of the hook. And we're going to wrap this thing. 1, 2, 3. You can even just spin the hook to get your wraps in there. You want this thing wrapped a decent amount of times. Not a particular number of wraps with this knot. The more you wrap it, the more strong it is. You don't want to go too crazy. There you go. Something like that is good. Now you're going to go right back through that loop right there that we created, and then we're going to go through the whole entire loop of the whole knot itself with that tag end. And all we do now is we grab our tag end, we give it a little bit of moisture, and there you go. We're cinching our knot down right there. Look at that. That thing is freaking beautiful, guys. I'm doing this with 20-pound mono to show you, but that knot is absolutely perfect. All right, so what's the importance of having all this extra line and all these extra spools, right? Well, I mean, I relate everything through tournament fishing. So, I mean, if you're fishing a tournament, yeah, it's important to have backups and to have options and to cater to your technique-specific needs. But, hey, even for the recreational guy, okay? You're going out and you want to be able to fish a crankbait all day long, right? So, in order to do this, you're going to need... what? You're fishing a crankbait on 10-pound fluoro, 12-pound fluoro. Anything could happen out there. You get a nick in your line, a fish breaks you off, you get broken off by a rock. You don't have enough line left on your spool. It is very easy, guys, to have an extra spool handy. What I do is and this is not even half my stuff. I have a spool box right here. I use these spools specifically for my concepts. Consistency is very important. So, hey, I'm fishing a crankbait, and I just abrased all my 12-pound fluoro. I freaking screwed up. I took a bad cast, and I backlashed the whole thing. You know what I mean? It happens. It doesn't matter if you're a pro or if you're not. People backlash spools. Anything could happen on the water. It's windy out. It doesn't matter. Well, there you go. I pop my spool out, and look at that. I'm all set up. I'm ready to go. I have another spool of 12-pound fluorocarbon already ready to go, guys. So if you don't want to keep an extra reel on the boat, keep an extra spool on the boat. That extra spool could save you so much time. It could win you a tournament, or it could catch you a fish that could catch you the fish that you came out to catch that day. All right, guys, last but not least, let's talk about line diameter. Now, why is line diameter important? Other than, obviously, your line diameter has a huge influence. Your line diameter is based around the strength of your line. So we know that 14-pound fluoro is stronger than 10-pound fluoro. But one key element to line diameter is the thinner your line diameter, the deeper your lure is going to be able to achieve. Now, we're going to think about it in terms of surface area. A thicker line diameter, say something like 20-pound fluorocarbon, that is going to have a thicker diameter than 10-pound fluoro. The 10-pound fluoro, since it is literally half the size in diameter, it has less surface area. It's going to be able, say you're fishing a crankbait. We were talking about crankbaits. You're fishing a 12-foot deep diving crankbait on 10-pound test. That thing's getting down to 12 feet most likely. You're fishing it on 20-pound test, it's not going to even get down to 8 feet. You know what I mean? It's not even going to get down to 6 feet because all that extra surface area is going to give resistance in the water while you're trying to achieve maximum depth. Now here's two Corrado DCs. I have one spooled up with 12-pound fluoro, and I have the other spooled up with 16-pound fluorocarbon. It's the same reel, guys. You know, it's that quick and it's that easy. If I want to fish the same crankbait, but I want to achieve different depth, that's how I'm going to be able to do it. So that's a good trick for you guys right there. All right, guys, I'm going to try to wrap it up. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Going braid to leader on my spinning rods has upped my percentage of my catch ratio so much because I can feel my bites better. There's more sensitivity. I just land more fish. It's been great for me. But I wanted to add, it's not something I only do on spinning rods. I do it on bait casters too. Depending on the technique, if I need that sensitivity or if I need that extra strength to rip grass, chatterbait, spinnerbait, you name it, I do go braid to leader, depending on the technique, depending on the situation. Experiment with it yourself, guys. It is an awesome deal, so definitely check it out. One more thing I wanted to add, just a hack real quick. If you guys notice that your braid is starting to run low, you know, and you don't have as full of a spool as you used to, having a full spool is a great aid to cast far. You know, you want to have a full spool. So instead of paying the money to replace all the braid on my spool, what I will do is I will pull all the braid off my spool and I will lengthen my backing because most likely you're still going to have enough braid to do whatever you need to do fishing wise, but if you want to optimize the performance of your cast and your reel, you're going to want to lengthen your backing to compromise for the lost length of your braid. So that's a good little hack right there. I basically just did that to all my reels yesterday because I didn't feel like replacing all the braid on my stuff. So anyway, hope you guys got some insight out of this video. Please like and subscribe, guys. Get on that giveaway. I will be back on the water soon. I will be back with some good footage, man. So check you guys later.